This meeting of the Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order. This weekend, cities including Chicago across the globe will host their annual Pride Parades to celebrate LGBTQ family, friends, and neighbors. In just a short time, relative short time, a few decades, our nation has made remarkable progress in protecting the rights of LGBTQ Americans. 8 years ago this month, for instance, 8 years, Obergefell versus Hodges, which made marriage equality the law of the land. And last year, on a bipartisan basis, Congress codified these protections into law with the Respect for Marriage Act. While Pride Month is an opportunity to celebrate these milestones, today we also remember that Pride began with an act of resistance. Back in 1970, the first ever Pride Parade was organized to mark the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. It was a protest led by gay, transgender, and gender nonconforming Americans who refused to accept an unjust system of laws and united together to change not just America, but to change the world. Today, we draw from that spirit to unite together in acknowledging and defending the rights of LGBTQ Americans. Because right now, extremist politicians across America are targeting our LGBTQ youth, along with the medical professionals who care for them and the parents who love them. I want to turn to a video that shares the story of one of those parents and his plea for the leaders in his home state of Missouri to stop these attacks.
I'm a husband, I'm the father of 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, including a wonderful and beautiful transgender daughter. Today happens to be her birthday, and I chose to be here. I remember the day everything changed for me. I'd gotten home from work, and my daughter and her brother were in the front lawn, and my daughter had sneaked on one of her older sister's play dresses, and they wanted to go across the street and play with the neighbor's kids. It was time for dinner. I said, come in. She asked, can she go across the street? I said, no. She asked me if she went inside and put on boy clothes, could she then go across the street and play? And it's then that it hit me that my daughter was equating being good with being someone else. My child was miserable. I cannot overstate that. She was absolutely miserable. And so on that day, my wife and I stopped silencing our child's spirit. I now have a confident, a smiling, a happy daughter. I came here today as a parent to share my story. I need you to understand that this language, if it becomes law, will have real effects on real people. It will affect my daughter. It will mean she cannot play on the girls' volleyball team or dance squad or tennis team. I ask you, please don't take that away from my daughter or the countless others like her who are out there. Let them have their childhoods. Let them be who they are.
At the start of this year, our nation has seen a wave of anti-LGBTQ bills. More than 525 have been introduced in 41 states, many of them specifically targeting our transgender youth. Some bills seek to ban gender-affirming care, while others are designed to dictate what sports kids can play or what bathrooms they can use. But all of them are part of the same concerted effort, exercising the power of government to target children. At the same time, leaders on the far right are promoting anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. During this year's Conservative Political Action Conference, one speaker was applauded when he declared, and I quote, "Transgenderism must be eradicated." We must reject this divisive and hateful rhetoric. And at this point, I'd like to remind our colleagues, our children are listening, and they are in danger. In fact, today, transgender youth are among the most at risk of homelessness, depression, and death by suicide. So when these young people who are already struggling hear politicians amplify hateful rhetoric that denies their very existence, what message does it send? We have a responsibility to support all of our children, no matter how they identify. This morning across America, families are meeting with doctors and being told they must make critical decisions, life and death decisions, about surgery and medical treatment for their children. These are personal and family moments which the parents will never forget. I know, I've been there. But increasingly, state legislatures have decided that the decisions will be subject to regulation and criminal punishment by the government. You saw the video of the Missouri father. Does he sound like a radical who is anxious to experiment with his child's future? Not to me. He sounds like a father who resisted acknowledging the real condition of his child until he realized he was wrong. I'm sure it was a painful, labored process and journey, but he is convinced he did the right thing for his transgender daughter. Regulating the age when a young person can buy a tattoo or drive a car is one thing, but making a decision that fundamental that could affect the life of an individual should be viewed differently. Brings me to another reminder. As member of this committee, we also have a responsibility to engage in civil discourse. While spirited debate is a sign of healthy democracy, we should not tolerate language that disparages anyone. I'd like to close by saying it's natural to be confused by what we don't know. Today, most Americans don't personally know anyone who identifies as trans. So my hope is that this hearing will be a chance to share the stories and reveal the truth, that like the rest of the LGBT community, transgender Americans are our neighbors, our colleagues, our fellow citizens. They have the same hopes and dreams that all of us share. LGBTQ Americans are asking for no more and no less than the full freedom to live who they are.